Real Madrid brought in Xabi Alonso to shake things up and lead a revolution.
Hola madridistas, ya estoy aquí, muy contento de empezar esta nueva etapa con mucha ilusión y energía y os mando un saludo y a la Madrid.
So far, everyone was expecting a dominant, unstoppable Madrid, and in the first few games, you could say the team definitely looked different.
Alexander-Arnold, there's the header, Gonzalo Garcia! Mbappé! That is what they came to see!
But it only took one match to show the truth.
Good morning, Krusty
The Xabi Alonso era has kicked off like an emotional roller coaster. Yes, it's still way too early to judge how Alonso's Madrid will perform long term, but the reality is there are clear problems in this squad that Xabi needs to fix fast and immediately.
Xabi Alonso se ha equivocado. Ha hecho una alineación política, poniendo juntos a Mbappé, Vinicius y Gonzalo. A partir de ahora, eso ya no vale. Xabi, toca señalar, toca retratar.
But what exactly needs to change? The players, the system, the mentality? The truth is, the problems go way beyond the pitch, and that's what we're about to find out.
There's no excuse for these types of mistakes on this level. At this occasion, I think Asensio's put himself in a bit of jeopardy here because Xabi Alonso's looking at every single player and he is grading every single player who he can rely on the big occasion. And I think himself and Rudiger really let themselves down. 3-0 down after 24 minutes of the game. They haven't been 3-0 down in, 22 years? At that point, it's absolutely sane in 24 minutes of a game. So, yeah, unacceptable performance from Real Madrid. They were nowhere near at the level they needed to be to compete against one of the most informed sides and clearly in world football right now.
If there's one thing that Real Madrid fans have learned over the last season, it's this: their defence is broken. No matter how much talent they have up front, no matter how many stars wear that iconic white jersey, this team can't stop leaking goals. It's been a rough ride in Europe. They lost 1-0 to Lille.
No hemos mostrado una buena versión en este partido.
Got completely shut down by Liverpool in a 2-0 defeat. Then came the humiliation at home, a 3-1 loss to Milan at the Santiago Bernabeu. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Arsenal showed up and tore them apart. Not once, but twice.
It's Declan Rice again! Oh! What a goal from Declan Rice!
But the real pain, that comes from El Clásico. Real Madrid didn't just lose to Barcelona last season. They got crushed 4 times, all by big margins, and each match felt like a punch to the gut for the fans. Of course, injuries haven't helped. Dani Carvajal were out with a serious ACL tear. Eder Militão and David Alaba have been in and out of the squad with constant injuries. That's left only Rudiger and Asensio as reliable centre-backs, 2 guys who give everything, but they can't do it alone. The truth is, Real Madrid's defensive problems aren't just bad luck, they're systemic. They've been exposed again and again by elite teams, and now it's up to Xabi Alonso to fix it. Real Madrid's first step to solving their defensive nightmare was clear: signing Dean Huijsen.
O sea, es un tío que está atento, es rápido, y sobre todo con el balón. Es un escándalo la cantidad de pases que filtra pasando líneas rivales. O sea, me parece
Habrá gente que
buenísimo.
diga sobre lo que...
Straight from Malaga's academy, Huijsen has shown everyone why Madrid wanted him so badly. He's the type of defender who never gives attackers room to breathe, forcing them to play with their backs to goal. Huijsen is impressive in the air and incredibly calm with the ball at his feet. He doesn't just clear danger, he starts attacks. With sharp, crisp passes that slice through compact lines, he can launch quick counter-attacks or patiently build up play. His ability to dribble and carry the ball forward with both feet makes him tough to predict. Even under pressure, he can send accurate long passes over the top, putting teammates behind the defence. And when the team loses possession, Huijsen steps up immediately, pressing opponents to quickly regain the ball. Signing Dean Huijsen was definitely a smart move, the kind Madrid fans have wanted for years. He's different from the usual defenders they've signed lately, like Rudiger or Asensio, who are mostly about physicality. Huijsen balances technical skill with physical strength, giving the backline much-needed composure. But here's the catch: Huijsen alone isn't enough. The real issue remains players like Asensio, Rudiger, and basically every other centre-back Madrid currently has. Let's be real here. Injuries to Militão and Alaba have hurt Madrid's defence big time. But the bigger issue, Rudiger and Asensio, the current starting centre-backs, have been a complete mess. And if you watch their match against PSG, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, come on. You just don't try to control the ball right on your penalty spot against one of the best pressing teams in the world. It's basic soccer knowledge. And then to make things worse, Asensio couldn't even get his first touch right. Just unbelievable. But it's not just that one game. Asensio got himself red carded in just the 7th minute against Pachuca. Seriously, thank goodness that happened against Pachuca and not PSG. Otherwise Madrid might have conceded like 1,000 goals. Sure, we can talk about the end of season fatigue, the heat, the conditions. But let's be honest, Asensio has been shaky all season. He's quick, he's aggressive, but he's not reliable when you need him the most. Then there's Rudiger. Just 3 minutes after Asensio's blunder against PSG, Rudiger had his own epic fail. He tried controlling the ball near midfield, totally whiffed on his pass to Asensio, and basically handed it straight to Ousmane Dembélé, who gladly punished him. And if that wasn't enough, Rudiger also messed up on PSG's 3rd goal. He completely abandoned his position, left a massive gap behind, and PSG's slick passing tore Madrid's defence apart. Fabian scored again, easy as pie. Look, individual mistakes from Asensio and Rudiger totally wrecked Madrid's game. But props to Luis Enrique and PSG, they designed a relentless press that completely rattled Madrid's defenders. Still, this just highlights a huge problem. Madrid's defenders can't handle pressure. Against teams who push high and aggressively, Asensio and Rudiger just don't cut it. Alright, Madrid's defence is a hot mess right now, but the good news is that it can be fixed. First things first, they've got to get another top quality centre-back, because just signing Dean Huijsen isn't enough. Huijsen is great, but he can't hold down the whole fort alone. On the bright side, Madrid just closed a huge deal for Alvaro Carreras for about $50 million. He's a balanced left-back, solid in both attack and defence, and he'll definitely improve things. But let's be real, he's not a centre-back. Now let's talk about the bigger picture, Xabi Alonso's tactical setup. At the start of the Club World Cup, Madrid looked strong when Alonso played a 3-4-3, or even a 5-3-2. They dominated Juventus, handled Dortmund, and things seemed promising. But then Alonso switched it up and tried a 4-3-3 against PSG, and man, was that a mistake. It turned into a disaster, a complete embarrassment for Real Madrid. Clearly this team isn't built for that formation. Instead, they should stick to playing with 3 centre-backs, where Tchouaméni sits comfortably as a libero between Rudiger and Huijsen. It gives them way more security at the back and helps them build play smoothly from defence to midfield. But here's the catch. When Madrid goes with a 3-4-3 or a 5-3-2, someone up front has to sit out, and that's where things get tricky. Alonso's got a locker room full of superstars with massive egos, let's be honest. Trying to squeeze Mbappé, Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo together was a total mess last season. With Rodrigo already 1 foot out the door, we haven't seen him at all during this Club World Cup. But what Mbappé, Vini, and Bellingham showed against PSG was flat out embarrassing. Sure, Xabi Alonso made a mistake playing 3 forwards with Gonzalo alongside Mbappé and Vinicius. But come on, the attitude of those big stars was awful. Vinicius, Mbappé and Bellingham looks like they had zero interest in pressing. Bellingham lost the ball that led straight to PSG's 3rd goal, and guess what? He didn't even try to win it back. Just stood there. Mbappé and Vinicius completely checked out, both offensively and defensively. Meanwhile, Gonzalo couldn't show off the great form he'd been riding through the tournament. Remember, he's the top scorer right now, but he couldn't do much, isolated up front, with the other guys just strolling around. Mbappé and Vinicius were literally jogging back, while PSG calmly set up attacks. Look at the play where Hakimi had all day to take a long-range shot. Vinicius should have been marking him, but he was barely even in the camera shot, just casually walking back. When we talk about Mbappé and Vinicius Jr., there are 2 big things we can all agree on. First, these guys are absolute stars. Both have lightning speed, incredible skills, and the talent to win games all by themselves. Put simply, they're game changers. But the second thing is a problem. Neither of these guys really wants to play defense. They just don't put in enough effort when the other team has the ball. Living together on the pitch hasn't been easy for Mbappé and Vinicius, but honestly, nobody expected it to be this hard. Signing Mbappé was Florentino Perez's ultimate dream, and he finally made it happen. From a soccer perspective, who wouldn't want Mbappé? He's the guy every team dreams about, but the reality is, having 2 alphas fighting for the spotlight has caused serious friction in Madrid's attack.
Nosotros no tenemos una filosofía de dejar a Mbappé que haga lo que quiera y ya está, no. Porque Kylian Mbappé, con la filosofía anterior que había en el PSG, no se conquistaron títulos importantes, que es el problema que tienen los futbolistas, que se les trata como a dioses, pero claro, parece que como marca 3 goles ya nadie le puede decir nada. Uy, todos ofendiditos. Ofendiditos porque se le ha dicho algo al crack. Los cracks tienen que dar más ejemplo que los demás.
Instead of stepping up his game to match Mbappé, Vinicius seems to be slowly fading. He's getting crushed mentally. He's stuck in a cycle of hot and cold performances, swinging from decent games to absolute disasters, like his recent match against PSG. Vinicius spent 65 minutes on the pitch without even taking a single shot. He tried just one dribble, completed only 10 passes, and lost the ball 7 times before Alonso finally subbed him off for Brahim Diaz. Remember when Vinicius boldly claimed, "I'll do it 10 more times if I have to." They're just not ready, after missing out on the Ballon d'Or last October. Since that statement, his performances have gone completely downhill. But what Xabi is doing right now is crucial. He's moving away from blaming individual players and shifting the mindset toward a true team mentality. One where everyone wins together and everyone loses together. No more scapegoats, just collective responsibility.
Hablas de margen de mejora. Yo te quería preguntar, en el primer partido en el que han jugado de inicio Vinicius y Mbappé, para ti, esta pareja, ¿cuánto margen de mejora tiene de cara al futuro?
No, estoy hablando del equipo, no estoy hablando de individuos, no estoy de jugadores, no estoy hablando ni de los defensas, ni medios delanteros, no. Estoy hablando de como equipo, cómo queremos jugar y hoy, pues, en ciertos momentos o ciertas carencias que hemos tenido, pues, a veces es bueno ver los errores y que te sirvan para el futuro, ¿no? Si somos repitiendo el mismo error una tras otra vez, pues no seremos inteligentes.
And honestly, apart from maybe the summer heat, there's not much of an excuse, especially not when they're matched up against players like Ousmane Dembélé, Désiré Doué and Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, 3 attackers who are famous for pressing aggressively and working hard defensively. Madrid learned the hard way what happens when your best attackers don't defend. It creates a chain reaction of problems for the entire team. Even Luis Enrique, Mbappe's old manager at PSG, practically begged him to put more effort into defending.
Yo te he leído que te gustaba Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan cogía de los huevos a todos sus compañeros y se ponía a defender como un hijo de puta. Tú tienes que dar ese ejemplo, primero como persona y como jugador, de ir a presionar. Vas a tener a Cubarsí, vas a ser tú el que marca a Cubarsí. Claro, tú eres un fenómeno, un top mundial, ninguna duda. Pero yo, no me vale eso. Un líder de verdad es que cuando no nos puedes ayudar con los goles, porque el otro día tenías a 2 jugadores de alto nivel para ti y no puedes ayudarnos, tú nos ayudas en todo lo defensivo.
But Mbappé just doesn't seem interested or even capable of following those instructions.
En defensa, Kylian, tienes que marcar al central derecho. Si no marcas al central derecho, no da para ganar este partido. Necesito que marques al central derecho para poder presionar todos. Tienes que venir a ayudar. Es que este es un partido jodido. Necesitamos todos metidos, los 11. Si no lo da.
Even Thierry Henry has already pointed out that Mbappé doesn't press or do any defensive work. On top of that, he plays with laziness and doesn't put in extra effort, not even in attack. Bottom line, having 2 attackers who barely defend makes it tough for the rest of the team to stay organised. This isn't just hurting Madrid defensively, it's making it impossible for them to dominate games the way they want.
¿Qué palo del PSG a Mbappé? Que vas tú y lo ganamos todo. ¿Qué palo para Mbappé? Llegas al Madrid y no ganáis nada.
Because yes, that's the reality. Mbappé spent years making Real Madrid beg for him. He spent years chasing the Champions League. He lost a final with PSG. He played alongside Neymar, Messi, Dembélé, Barcola, Vitinha, some of the best players in the world, and still couldn't lead that team to European glory. His obsession with winning the Champions League and a Ballon d'Or finally led him to say yes to Madrid. But now, in his first season with Los Blancos, the team has completely fallen apart.
Creo que lo voy a mejorar el siguiente año, sin ninguna duda. Porque el hecho de tener un jugador que se movía por donde él quería implica que hay situaciones de juego que...
And the moment Mbappé left PSG, Luis Enrique's team suddenly became the first in years. With a real shot at winning a septuple, they already secured a treble this season, playing a total team football style, built on sacrifice, effort, and unity. Exactly the kind of football Kylian was never willing to play. Because Mbappé was the problem at PSG. He brings attitude issues. He arrived at Madrid and shook the locker room. He broke the balance that existed with Vinicius and Bellingham. He disrupted the attack and drained the team's competitive spirit. Ever since Mbappé stepped into the Real Madrid locker room, things have gotten complicated. Vinicius Jr., who used to be unstoppable, saw his form drop immediately. Jude Bellingham's performances also took a hit, and he's even gotten into arguments with both Mbappé and Vinny during games. Whenever someone misses a pass or makes a mistake, things get heated real quick. But honestly, Jude himself hasn't exactly been at his best this season either. Let's put this into context. Back in the 2023-24 season, Jude was a monster, 23 goals and 13 assists. But fast forward a year, and he only managed 14 goals and 14 assists. On paper, it might not seem like a huge drop, But if you watched him play, you'd know it's a different story. He's completely vanished in the big moments. That box-to-box midfielder who dominated the game has disappeared, and the PSG game made that painfully clear. It's been over a year since we've seen Jude at his best, and now he's out for another 3 to 4 months recovering from shoulder surgery. Maybe these lingering injuries are why he's been struggling. But as of today, Bellingham looks totally lost out there. He's constantly throwing up his hands, failing to track back on defence, out of sync with teammates during the press, and always rushing forward to score goals at all costs. It feels like Jude's desperate to shine on the scoresheet rather than focusing on helping the team. Right now, he's not pressing, not defending, and honestly not even contributing much offensively.
Yo tengo claro lo que debe hacer Xabi. Las estrellas que no quieren correr, al banquillo. Y si no, que levante la mano y que pida ser vendidas.
Right now, Xabi Alonso has to figure out how to handle this mess. Should he bench one of his stars to send a message? Or can he find a way to bring back that fire and balance to Madrid's front line? Either way, the pressure's on Alonso to fix this, and fast. Right now, Real Madrid still looks flat and predictable. But let's face it, they've got some serious attacking options. With Endrick, Gonzalo Garcia, Brahim Diaz, Mbappé, and Vinicius all in the squad, it's not like they lack firepower. And honestly, aside from Rodrigo, who's pretty much out the door, none of these guys are leaving anytime soon. Here's the deal, Mbappé and Vinicius just aren't clicking on the field. Fine, sit one of them. It might sound crazy, but starting matches with either Vinicius or Mbappé on the bench could actually solve a ton of issues. Before Mbappé returned to the lineup against PSG, Madrid wasn't spectacular, sure, but at least they had some clarity, they had structure, and that structure, the moment Mbappé stepped onto the pitch from the very start, it completely fell apart. Of course, in some ways it's on Xabi too, for taking the risk and changing the very system that defines him as a coach, switching to a 4-3-3 with 3 forwards. But the most important thing is what Xabi has learned over these past few weeks.
De todo. Me voy con certeza si este partido, este campeonato, me ha dicho muchas cosas de lo que somos y de lo que tenemos que mejorar y de lo positivo que he visto de los jugadores y de todo, ¿eh? O sea, me ha dicho muchas cosas y me voy con muchas certezas, me voy con una composición del lugar de cara a empezar el año que viene que va a ser diferente por los jugadores que vamos a recuperar, por los cambios que va a haber.
Yeah, in some ways this wraps up a historic season for Real Madrid, in the worst possible sense. The Club World Cup officially marked the end of Madrid's 2024-25 campaign. And what a nightmare it's been. They tried shaking things up by bringing in Xabi Alonso last minute, hoping he could fix the mess. But even he couldn't stop the bleeding. Madrid finished 2025 empty-handed, losing out on all 5 trophies: Spanish Super Cup, Copa del Rey, La Liga, Champions League, and now the Club World Cup. Humiliated repeatedly by Barca, they couldn't beat any major European team besides Manchester City. And let's be honest, City has been just as much of a disaster. But here's the thing, Xabi Alonso's absolutely right.
¿Cree que es su primer tropiezo al frente del Real Madrid?
Sin duda. Sin duda no era lo que esperábamos. Es la primera derrota, pero la mala noticia para mí es que no va a ser la última derrota. Vamos a perder más veces, tenemos que ganar muchas más veces, pero el que piensa que no va a perder nunca, creo que se está engañando y bueno, es lo que toca, hay que aceptarlo. Mañana empezamos en otra etapa de un poco más de descanso, de refrescar un poco las cabezas, que yo creo que todos lo necesitaremos.
This kind of disaster might be exactly what Real Madrid needed. Think about it. Imagine if they'd won the Club World Cup playing the way they did. No pressing sloppy passes, massive defensive errors, no urgency at all. Winning that way would have sent the wrong message. At least this humiliation means there's nowhere left to fall. Now the only option is to step up and improve. Xabi Alonso couldn't fix everything in just 5 matches. That's impossible. He's not a magician. Players will leave, new faces will arrive, and Alonso knows exactly what's missing. That's step 1, admitting the problems. The next step is doing something about it. There are 3 key things Alonso absolutely has to do next season. First, make it crystal clear to his players that they're not in charge. He calls the shots, not them. Second, players need to earn their spots based on performance, not their paycheck, popularity, or potential talent. Who cares how talented you are if you don't help your team win? Third, and maybe most important, Alonso needs to handle the massive egos in the locker room. This will be his toughest challenge, getting everyone on the same page, buying into his ideas. That's what defines great managers. Real Madrid is staring down a long, tough season. Building something meaningful takes time, and players don't always buy into new ideas right away. But here's the deal. If a player refuses to put in the work or follow instructions, He doesn't deserve to wear a Madrid shirt, period. It doesn't matter how big the name or how huge the paycheck. The good news? Madrid already has the pieces to build something special, even without Mbappé and Vinicius. Look at the defense. Alexander-Arnold, Huijsen and Rudiger can hold it down. Plus there's strong talk about bringing in Ibrahima Konate. Fran Garcia and Alvaro Carreras add balance and depth.